A shark attacking a famous surfer alive in the middle of a competition, dolphins protecting a group of people from certain death. Discover today the spectacular and frightening attacks of angry sharks that appeared out of nowhere. In 1963, during an underwater fishing competition at Aldinga Beach in southern Australia, Rodney Fox experienced a terrifying moment. While he was winning the tournament after chasing a morwong, a kind of big perch, he suddenly received a violent blow in the chest. At that moment, Rodney Fox, who was freediving, had just been attacked by a great white shark which made him lose his rifle harpoon and his mask. In an attempt to get out alive, the young man started to hit the shark on his head while looking for the eyes, without success. The fisherman was, at that moment, in a very bad position, but his misadventure did not stop there. After trying to cling to the body of the monster, the man began to run out of air. Drawing on the little energy he had left, he climbed back to the surface as best he could. Once he caught his breath, he looked down and saw a forever and ever scene etched in his memory. Just below, the water was red with blood and a huge mouth was coming right at him, wide open. The absolute horror. Out of desperation, Rodney gave the animal a violent kick which proved to be effective as the predator stopped its assault to attack the man again and drag him to the bottom. It was the end. But he miraculously freed himself and returned to the surface. That's when members of a rescue boat saved Rodney Fox's life. The damage caused by the shark was very severe, but the man survived. He even completely recovered from his injuries and is now a great shark enthusiast. On Friday, October 22, 2010, beautiful waves were breaking at Surf Beach, California. Lucas Ransom, a young 19-year-old bodyboarder, decided to go there with his friend Matthew Garcia. So far so good, but everything did not happen as he had hoped. Lucas had put himself in the water with a red bodyboard, a detail that would have its importance. After 45 minutes of surfing, a 4 to 6 meters long shark appeared from nowhere and attacked the young man with unbelievable violence. His friend, Matthew, was standing nearby, unable to react to save him. It seemed like an endless moment, but Matthew was able to get Lucas to shore. It was too late. Lucas Ransom, unfortunately, succumbed to his injuries. Following this sad news, the authorities ordered the closure of the beaches for 72 hours as a precaution. It remains to be determined why the shark had attacked this young man. Some people think that the red color of his board could have something to do with it, and for good reason. Brightly colored or multicolored boards would remind sharks of certain prey. The images of this attack had gone around the world. In 2015, during a competition in South Africa broadcast live on television, surfer Mick Fanning was about to compete in the final of the J-Bay Open against Julian Wilson when the unthinkable happened. A great white shark attacked him. The famous Australian surfer struggled to fend off the shark. By a miracle, he survived, but is certainly not close to forget one day this huge scare. Just after a jet ski came to rescue him, Mick said, "I'm safe but in shock. I'm just glad to be here." Local J-Bay surfer Remy Peterson assured on Facebook that this was not a real attack. He says, "Mick was lucky he didn't get a deliberate attack from the shark because I can assure you that if he had, he wouldn't have made it. It was a 5 to 6 meter shark. If he had wanted to get it, Mick would not have had a chance." Despite this frightening chapter, the man who is considered the best surfer in history did not want to give up his passion. On the contrary. Now comes one of the most inspiring stories in sports. At 13 years old, Bethany Hamilton was a surfer with a bright future in sports. Until the tragedy. In 2003, the teenager traveled to her home island of Kauai in Hawaii. But shortly after starting her surfing session, the young girl was attacked by a 4 meters long tiger shark. Her best friend, father, and brother, who were also on the scene, did everything they could to pull Bethany out of the ocean. And they succeeded. The girl was seriously injured and had lost 60% of her blood. After undergoing emergency surgery, she discovered that her left arm was gone. She returned to the water just 1 month after the shark attack. And through hard work and courage, Bethany, who refuses to be favored in any way, is quickly making a place for herself among the best. Her incredible story is told in the movie, Soul Surfer. In fact, Bethany Hamilton, now 31 years old, received the ESPN Award for Best Sports Comeback in 2004 and a Teen Choice Award the same year. It must be said that the young woman has what it takes to surprise more than one person. Ian Redmond and his wife Gemma Houghton's honeymoon vacation ended in disaster. Just married, the two lovebirds had decided to spend a few days in Seychelles. It was during their second week of vacation that a shark turned the dream into a tragedy. While Gemma was quietly sunbathing, her husband, Ian Redmond, preferred to swim to enjoy the paradise waters of the Indian Ocean, when suddenly, he was bitten by a shark. A man alerted by the cries of the young man rushed to hoist him on his board and bring him back to the beach. Unfortunately, Ian had lost a lot of blood. By the time help arrived, 20 minutes after the attack, it was too late. This terrifying story made the rounds in the press, feeding the crazy reputation of killer sharks. Sharks can sometimes be very dangerous. The proof is in the pudding with Joshua Hawley, a Hawaiian surfer who suffered an unexpected shark attack. In 2012, while surfing as usual at the North Shore, Oahu, the 28-year-old suddenly spotted a tiger shark right behind him ready to attack him. He barely had time to catch a glimpse of a huge fin when the shark bit him on the left leg before pulling him to the depths. Once he released it, the shark came back a second time, which was very unusual. At that point, Joshua had the good sense to tap the animal twice in the eyes to scare it away. And it worked. The shark disappeared under the water. After this mishap, the young man got out of the water on his own and received first aid on the beach. The damage caused by the shark's bite was not insignificant. Far from it. Joshua required 42 stitches and surgery to repair severed tendons. Another scary and touching story was told by lifeguard Rob Howes. In 2004, he decided to take his 15-year-old daughter, Nikki, and two of her friends for a swim at Ocean Beach in New Zealand, thinking it would be an ordinary day. But the reality was quite different. Once they arrived at the site, everything was going according to plan until a group of dolphins started circling them to bring them all together. When Rob tried to break through this protective circle, two of the larger dolphins pushed him back in. At that moment, the lifeguard spotted a 3-meter-long great white shark that was trying to move towards them. But thanks to the circle formed by the dolphins, which were making a lot of noise by beating the water with their tails, the shark moved away. This allowed Rob Howes, his daughter, and her friends to escape the predator's teeth and return to shore unharmed. It was a long, panicked moment that they will not soon forget. The real heroes of the day were, without a doubt, the dolphins. On June 14, 1959, Robert Pamperin and his friend Gerald Lehrer were snorkeling at Alligator Head in San Diego County. But what was supposed to be a fun time quickly turned into a nightmare. When the two friends were separated by a few feet, Gerald suddenly heard screams. He then saw his friend being pulled into the depths by a great white shark. When Gerald then peeked underwater, he saw a terrifying scene. Robert was in the shark's jaws. He tried everything to save his friend. He waved his arms to scare the shark, but in vain. It was then that he decided to go to the shore to alert the rescuers. Once there, they searched for hours for the body of the young man, without success. However, a helicopter was able to find a swimming fin belonging to Robert Pamperin. Leanne Eriksen almost lost her life while accompanying her boyfriend, Dusty, in San Onofre, California. That day, a great white shark had invited itself to the surfing session. Dusty says he heard Leanne scream. As soon as he turned around to look for his girlfriend, she had already disappeared under the waves. Leanne was struggling with all her strength to free herself. Miraculously, she succeeded, but the shark had pulled her away in the opposite direction. This cost Dusty precious minutes to save her. He was still able to find her. That's when he saw the damage. Leanne had a serious leg injury. But that wasn't the worst of it. The young woman had swallowed a significant amount of water and was unable to breathe. Once the paramedics were on the scene, they were able to provide her with first aid before she was airlifted to a hospital in San Diego. Today, the young woman is recovered and can even walk. But the shark attack of which she was a victim has deeply marked her, so much so that she finds it difficult to let her children swim freely in the sea. Which is understandable. Now find out about the deadliest shark attack in history. On July 30, 1945, a Japanese submarine sank the USS Indianapolis. Nearly 1,200 sailors were on board. About 900 were able to save themselves by jumping into the sea with life jackets. The survivors then waited desperately for help. But after 2 days their optimism faded when they saw a pack of longfin sharks prowling around. On the third day, the sharks, which had disappeared during the night, returned in greater numbers and decided to attack. At this moment, the terror reaches its paroxysm. Several men were devoured in front of their helpless companions, while others died of dehydration. It was only after 4 days that the survivors were accidentally found by an aircraft on a routine patrol. The first survivors were evacuated by plane and the others by boat. In contrast, of the 900 crew members who survived the July 30th attack, only 317 are out of the water after long days of fear, thirst, hunger, sharks, and desperation. It is estimated that the sharks caused the death of about 150 people. Enormous. Tell us in comments which of these stories of angry sharks surprised you the most. How would you have behaved if you were in their shoes? And if you liked this video, don't forget to give us a like, subscribe to the channel and to activate the bell to receive all the notifications, and not miss anything of our next videos. Thanks again and see you tomorrow at the same time on the same channel for a new video.